Hello, everybody, and welcome back to More Than a Muse. I'm Stauney.
And I am Sadie, and this is our third episode now, a continuation of our Showgirl September, all in preparation for Taylor Swift's newest album coming out October 3rd, which I'm personally counting down the days. I'm very excited. We get to talk about Eldest Daughters today.
We have to. It's on the track list. It's next in line.
And not only is it on the track list, but it is track 5 on the track list, which feels like it's going to be very heavy hitting.
I would assume so. I'm excited too. I think that was one of the ones that a lot of people perked up at because they were like, oh, so there's been a lot of discourse about Eldest Daughter Syndrome, the eldest daughter effect, like different things, and like the role that eldest daughters play in families and society. So very
absolutely fitting. I'm so intrigued too with the little bit that we've heard the album described sonic wise and how it's like a very upbeat, fun album. I'm very interested then of how a track 5, but then also a track 5 called Eldest Daughter. I'm so curious of how that's going to translate. Yes, I think it's maybe the track I'm the most intrigued to hear.
Definitely. I agree. What was her track 5 on Reputation?
Delicate.
Oh, okay. But that's like a love song.
But I guess it's like her like vulnerable moment, right? Of he must like me for me.
Yeah.
I feel like the track 5 is usually just like the most like vulnerable. Like 1989 is All You Had to Do Was Stay, which like of the entire album, I don't know if it's the most like deep cut personal, but like it is. I don't know. I guess I feel like it might sound like that. I think the track 5 thing really hit with Lover, and then My Tears Ricochet, Tolerated, So Long London, You're on Your Own, Kid. I think
You're on Your
after
Own,
Reputation
Kid
is when she really realized the reputation of track 5 and purposefully then was like, okay, let me put my most honest confessional things here. So since Lover, it's definitely, I think, been that.
No, so it'll be interesting to see what we get with it. Yeah. It's going to be a good
also,
one.
I think we need to acknowledge, hello, it is me, an eldest daughter. You are an only daughter in your family, but also an eldest daughter. You're the eldest of the daughters in your family, of course.
Yeah, the only one they've got. But yeah, I'm the second oldest in my family, so I feel like I don't necessarily have a lot of the oldest child stuff, but I am the only girl, which kind of is an interesting dynamic.
Totally.
So yeah, definitely would consider myself an eldest daughter based on a lot of the stereotypes.
I think you should take claim to that. Yeah, absolutely. From what I know about you and what we're going to talk about, I think we can both take claim to the eldest daughter syndrome a little bit.
I think it definitely fits. Yeah.
Totally. Well, do we just want to jump in? Yeah, of course. Let's do it. Cool. I feel is the audio on a delay because I feel like we keep jumping over each other and I don't feel like I'm hearing you until a little bit later, so I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I think we are on a delay. We were last week too, and I noticed in some of the clips we were talking over the top of each other, but it worked out fine in the podcast recording.
I do remember I had to shift over your audio.
Oh, okay.
It was super annoying and weird, but like when it actually translated over, it like shifted you. So I was worried about the clips if that would do that. But
yeah, it did. But
I'll just edit it if need be so we don't sound like we're being rude friends interrupting each other.
I know. We'll roll with it. It's so awkward when it does this, but I'm like, it doesn't happen that often, but it's been happening in the past few. Yeah.
I know. It's weird. Oh, do you want to kick it off for us then and give us the brief beginning introduction to Eldest Daughter Syndrome? And then, we'll keep talking.
Cool. So Eldest Daughter Syndrome, I feel like it's come around in the zeitgeist very recently, although it was introduced very early in the 1900s by an Austrian psychotherapist called Alfred Adler. And the whole idea is it's linked to birth order theory, which that suggests that a child's position in the family affects their personality and life experiences. Like oldest children have more responsibilities and neuroses compared to the other siblings. There's a thing with like middle children are like ignored peacemakers. And then you have the youngest children learns the stereotype that they're spoiled, get a little bit of
Yeah.
everything they want. And so eldest daughter syndrome describes the emotional pressure, high expectations, and sense of responsibility often placed on the oldest female child in a family. They're expected to take on more responsibilities, act as role models, and sometimes function as caregivers for their siblings, which can lead to feelings of stress, perfectionism, and emotional exhaustion. Being a role model can foster leadership and independence. It can also impose pressure and a pursuit of perfection. A licensed marriage and family therapist, Casey King, notes that in some families, the oldest child may function more as a caretaker or even a surrogate parent to their sibling, missing out on typical childhood experiences. In dual parent households, the oldest child may become a third adult, intimately aware of their parents' personal matters and often a mediator in their disputes. It's essential to recognize that not every eldest daughter will experience these family dynamic challenges or develop the syndrome. Family dynamics and individual upbringing vary widely, shaping each person's unique experience.
Totally.
However,
of course, yes. We're going to be talking very stereotypically in this episode. We'll get that out of the way. Yeah. But as you were going to say,
there has been a lot of discourse online of just like the different things that people have noticed that all eldest daughters share, and can be like the common denominator across the board a lot of the times. Be like, oh, she's a perfectionist. It's that eldest daughter syndrome.
Like, there's the eldest daughter in her. Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lot of those things. Some of the symptoms or the signs are like having a strong sense of responsibility, feeling a need of control, carrying the weight of your parents' expectations, perfectionism, struggling with same age relationships or finding it hard to connect, feeling resentment towards family or bottling up frustration, feeling like you always have to be the one to hold it all together, always putting others before yourself, people-pleasing behaviors, anxiety, and depression.
Yeah, and I do relate to a couple of those bullet points there, personally.
Same.
Yeah, and this episode, this is not, of course, to point fingers on anything. I think it's just like a natural, not a natural thing, but I think it's like if you put too much expectations sometimes on a young person, they can internalize it. They can make it maybe bigger than the original expectation, maybe even meant to be. I feel like I've been doing a little bit of unlearning lately and like thinking through things and like considering the ways that maybe it's not like someone actually told me something or to do something. Like I wasn't told, oh, you better make sure to not express your feelings this. Sure, there were messages that I like got that made me internalize that, but in reality, what am I trying to say? I think the point of what I'm trying to say is it's like there were definitely things that happened that made me more hyper aware and felt like I needed to be this way. But at the end of the day, it was maybe me hearing messages and then taking it a step, maybe one or two, three, a lot too far in the attempts of being like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to act. Like, I thought this is what you wanted me to act. But if I would actually face somebody with it, they'd probably be like, no, that's not what I meant. What are you talking about? It's just like this. I think in the search of perfectionism, you can often take things a little bit too far because you feel like that's what you have to do to be perfect. I don't know if that makes sense. But
no, it makes sense.
Weird little
I think
tangent.
like I felt that a lot with like grades, especially growing up. My parents didn't specifically sit down and tell me like you must get straight A's or we'll disown you. But there was like this pressure that I felt, especially because my older brother was like a very good student. He's very intelligent and it was and I'm not a bad student, but I had subjects I was good at and ones that I just wasn't. And math was one of those that like just did not come naturally. And I remember like crying once and like I was like, I can't be like Logan. Like I can't do it. Like it's not possible. And my parents literally being like, we didn't tell you had to be like him, huh?
Why? Like, we don't expect that of you.
Yeah. And it was this like realization that like sometimes you end up putting like sense of responsibility or like pressure on your, and I don't necessarily know where that comes from, but like, I think that's something that a lot of eldest daughters maybe feel is this sense of like you're living up to certain expectations that maybe were never verbally said to you, but you like feel like they're there.
Totally. And not to gaslight all of us and say there was nothing that made us
Oh, yeah.
think it in the first
Definitely.
place, but at the same time it's been interesting to figure out, okay, where did that idea come from? And
Mm-hmm.
sure, it came from something legitimate, but then also how did I take it too far, and how can I then like almost take that personal responsibility for taking it too far, but then realize that people actually don't expect that from me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so let's
Mm-hmm.
find the relief in that, that it's okay if I'm not acting perfectly, which like I'm not like I am anyways, which is
Yeah.
something I've had to learn to unpack personally, is I'm
Mm-hmm.
not perfect. And for a long time I was very much, no, actually I think I'm the only person ever who is going to figure out how to be perfect. Like I low-key remember thinking that as a teenager. I know you can't, but I bet I can. Like I think I can figure out how to make no one mad at me ever. And shock of all shocks, that
It's
didn't work.
not
And it's a good
possible.
thing.
Yeah.
It's an okay
Mm-hmm.
thing to make people angry sometimes. But I was so determined for so long to never make anyone dislike me. And I thought I could do it.
Yeah.
I can't. I learned that, unfortunately. It was a brutal lesson, though. It was a brutal lesson to learn that not everyone will like me.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot there. I'm trying to think, are there any of these like specifically that you feel like you struggled with a lot?
I think that for me, the biggest one was this perfectionism. And for me, it
Mm-hmm.
manifested if I don't make anyone angry and if I make everyone like me, then I'm a good person. And I think that I put so much of my self-worth in, am I a good person? I also, I'm so annoying in the way that like, I was like, I'm not a control freak, but now the older I'm getting, the more I'm like, no, I panic if I don't feel in control of a situation. So
Yeah.
that's been a funny thing to call out. I think as a teenager, I really did struggle with depression pretty heavily. And that's something in my life I've had to figure out, like, when am I numbing? When am I actually like trying to express and feel emotion? I think now in my later life, I've done a lot of numbing and like certain things, and I've tried to avoid feelings because I'm so scared of getting back to what I was once at a time. So I think that's something I've been like really working on lately, to just like share everyone my deepest problems currently.
Yeah.
But I think those are the ones that for me, I'm people pleasing. I feel like everyone says that they're a
Yeah.
people pleaser. So jury's out on that one. But I think it's that for me, it came down to if anyone doesn't like me, it's over. Like game over for me.
Yeah.
I don't deserve to be here anymore. Which
Oh man.
again, we've come a long way. Not to be dramatic, but
Yeah.
also that
No,
is how it
yeah.
felt in my mind.
Yeah. Okay, because let's be honest, there is nowhere more dramatic than a teenage girl's mind. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like
Guilty as
you want to talk
charged.
about being dramatic, like that is the time period of life when I feel like everything was life or death. It just felt
Yeah.
like that
Oh my
all the time.
gosh.
It's yeah, a whole
It really
interesting
did
time
feel
period
like
to
that.
exist within.
Which is a funny thing as an adult that I've struggled reconciling with, in the sense of I'm like, okay, I honor younger me and I honor everything that she felt. But also at the same time, whoa, did we take things
Yeah.
a little bit too far in our heads? Like, it didn't have to be that
Same.
serious. But I honor her, but I'm also like, oh, let's take a breath. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. No, younger me had a lot going on in her brain. Oof.
Yeah,
I would not want to go back to that time period just because I don't know how I
no,
existed within my own mind. Like
I
thinking
don't
back to how I
either.
felt at that moment,
Yeah,
like the emotions were literally unbearable. If you have a teenage
literally
daughter right
unbearable.
now, like I feel so much compassion for her because just remembering, like I still remember being like 14, 15 and
Oh,
holy
viscerally, do I
crap.
remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like traumatizing just existing within my own brain at times.
And my own body. No, I so
Yeah.
relate to it. And that's what I think I'm meaning, where it's like, I feel like I experienced emotions and feelings so intensely as a teenager that
Mm-hmm.
now in my adult life, I've realized I have numbed and tuned down my own feelings so much, because I'm like, I don't know if I can survive that again, low key. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm
No, that's
capable
a
of
good
it.
point.
But now, like when I'm trying to create art and I'm trying to do things as self-expression, I've found that I have a hard time with it. And I've started to realize it's because I'm not actually allowing myself to feel my emotions. I'm very much numbing them out. If I feel a negative emotion, I'm going to do something that's going to get rid of it. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to go do something that's like distracting that can just boom it out from my mind. So I've been like in that process of reminding myself of the reason why that was so crazy isn't because that's like inherently how I'm meant to be forever. It was like that is a part of growing up. That is a part of life. And also there's a beauty in feeling your emotions that strongly. There's good things from it. So take a little bit of it. It's not one extreme or the other. And I've realized I lived in two extremes, and I'm like, okay, we got to find the happy medium of feeling our emotions, doing it all, but not letting it, like I said, as we both said, drive us insane. Drive us mad.
Yes, I know. Sometimes I do wish I could tap back into that.
Yeah.
Like you said, like there's something just crazy and unexplainable about a teenage girl's brain that I'm like, I wish I could fully grasp.
I wish I could tap into that. And there was almost just like this, like I said, it was so like viscerally, I don't know. I took my emotions very seriously. And I do appreciate that about my past self. That I was like, no, this is the biggest feeling ever. Because it was the biggest feeling ever. But again, I don't want to go back and do that again.
No. Anyways. I think it's also part of it is maybe realizing that the world isn't built for you all at once. Like I feel like I finally grasped that as like a teenager that it's, this world isn't meant entirely for me. And just like the ultimate devastation of realizing that you're gonna have to fight against certain things for the rest of your life too.
Interesting.
Like there's part of that too, or I don't know, I just remember feeling things so deeply and being so devastated by certain stuff. And it's a hard time.
Are there certain things here that you resonate with more than others on this list?
Yes, I think definitely anxiety and depression. Super fun. Especially I got diagnosed when I was older, but like looking back at my life, oh my goodness, how I functioning as a human being before I was medicated, I don't know. So it was just like a constant ball of stress about everything. Just worry, pressure, fear, making mistakes, like all of that for sure. And then I had a lot of resentment towards my parents and siblings. Yeah. And even like looking back, I'm not entirely sure why or what caused it. There's a quote. I'm going to see if I can find it. I feel like I've mentioned it to you before where it's like the father and the daughter turn against the mother.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I just wish I could say it off the top of my head because it's crazy.
Oh, here it is. It's by Bonnie Burstow. It says, often father and daughter look down on the mother woman together. They exchange meaningful glances when she misses a point. They agree that she's not as bright as they are, cannot reason as they do. This collusion does not save the daughter from the mother's fate. Brutal.
I think we all remember where we were when we first heard that quote. Whoa.
And I think I felt a lot of that as a teenager where I like resented my mom so much. And I don't know why. I adore her. I look up to her so much. She's literally like the most incredible person ever. But it took me like a really long time to get to that point. You know why? There was nothing she did. I think maybe it was like a lot of being the only girl. And so it felt like this pressure of I needed to be like best friends with my mom, or I was supposed to like all the same things that she did, or like sometimes I feel like maybe my dad expected me to be like a little carbon copy of her and he could use me to decode mom or something. If he needed to understand my mom, then like he would ask me like, well, what is your mom thinking? And I was like, why are you trying to use me as the Rosetta Stone to understand my mother? Like, I'm half you.
Yeah.
So there was
know.
there was like pushback against it constantly where I was like trying to prove that I wasn't my mom because I was like, no, like I'm my own person. Because I'm the only daughter doesn't mean that I'm like her. Like I'm 50% my dad. And so there was like this constant resentment a little bit towards the whole thing. Plus, I was given like all of the girl chores. So I had like, or anytime they like needed someone to help make lunch or dinner, then like it was me. And so I think it ended up causing a lot of resentment that I had to unpack later. And this come from? Like, why is there so much of me that's like freaking out about this? And now, thankfully, I think most of that is completely gone and I'm over it. But yeah, it was something I felt a lot, I think, growing up and had to like really struggle to figure out how to overcome that.
Interesting. I feel like I missed that a lot when I was a teenager. Maybe something was that struggled with like in my early 20s is like that kind of resentment, just because I don't really know. Again, like it's one of those things where I'm like, I can't really figure out where exactly that came from. I think it's a little bit different for me because like I was adopted into my family. So it wasn't like I'm 50% of my mom or I'm 50% of my dad.
Yeah.
I think my like eldest daughtery was like compounded by the fact that I was like, I'm technically an outsider and I need to prove my place here. For the record, my parents never said anything to like make me like, this was all internally something in my head. And also it was something that I don't think I even actively realized I was thinking until I was 25. And then I started actually like thinking. I remember like being a teenager and being like, yeah, I was adopted, but that didn't affect me at all. What are you talking about? I don't like, I was like, that doesn't even matter. I was a baby. I don't remember. And then I like went to therapy when I was 25 and I brought that up and she was like, maybe we could explore that. Like maybe that could have affected you. Who knows? But like maybe it was still a good thing in your life, but like we should probably just think about how it affected us. What did that cause in our brains? Spoiler alert. Yeah, it did affect things, which is crazy that I was so proudly telling everyone. But not me. I'm good.
Yeah.
But I think maybe for me that added to that.
It did seem like you were coping with it very well.
I think in the grand scheme of how it could have gone, I got very lucky. Yeah. I was coping very well. And again, like I was adopted as an infant. There's no memory. I was raised in the home that I was raised in, and it's a great, beautiful thing. My life took a path. It was great. But it's just so funny to be like, that didn't affect me at all. And then you become an adult and you're like, why do I do this? Why do I have this like sense of control constantly? Why do I have this like perfectionism? Like where could it have possibly come from? And then it was like, maybe it's because internally you knew you were an outsider. Even though no one else made you feel that way, you just knew it deep down. And maybe that made you want to, I'm like, oh, maybe it did want me to overcompensate for things I didn't need to.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Anyways. I love how this episode has turned into like our trauma dumps, but like, of course it would be like we're the eldest daughters.
It's our track 5.
It's our track 5. Let this be our track 5 podcast episode.
Yep. Oh man.
There are
moving forward.
Sorry,
yes. Yeah, I was just going to say some of the long-term effects of eldest daughter syndrome. Now that we're moving into adulthood, how is this affecting us? These lasting implications. Now that we've talked about
how are we doing, gals? Yeah.
Some of the major ones: the world may see you as capable and composed, but underneath you may still be carrying the weight of your earliest role. Here's how it can show up: your career, overworking, imposter syndrome, and burnout. Eldest daughters often tie their worth to achievement. This can lead to chronic overworking. Oops. Yes to everything. Or becoming the go-to problem solver in the workplace. Many quietly battle imposter syndrome, feeling they're never good enough despite success, which leads to emotional exhaustion and burnout. Relationships struggle with intimacy and being the fixer. Because they grew up as caregivers, eldest daughters may unconsciously take on a role of emotional support in romantic and platonic relationships. They may feel responsible for their partner's feelings or avoid vulnerability for fear of being a burden. Many find themselves always giving but rarely receiving. Mine is I have a constant fear that my partner is mad at me and I'm never really getting over it. Oh man. I don't think I end up with the emotional support or like
see as often. I was the world's biggest fixer. That has been a very purposeful step of being like, no, no, this is a bad pattern. Don't do
Yeah.
it. But I loved the idea that I could fix someone and be the thing that saves them.
Yeah. No.
No, we
I
got to work
also
on
think,
that.
yes, definitely. I also think a lot of eldest daughters can end up in like a situation where they're like mothering their partner,
Mm,
where it's like it literally man child. They have to do everything for him because he's incapable. Like the weaponized incompetence of like, oh no,
yeah,
but I don't even know where the broom is. And it's, yeah,
yeah,
because you've never swept a day in
yeah,
your life. Like
exactly.
parenting, overcompensating, or repeating patterns. Some eldest daughters overparent and attempt to give their children what they never had: emotional freedom, ease, or rest. Others unknowingly repeat the cycle, expecting emotional maturity or responsibility too early in their own kids, which can cause unresolved patterns to surface in the next generation. And mental health, anxiety, guilt, and self neglect. Even at rest, eldest daughters may feel uneasy, like they should be doing more. This internalized pressure leads to anxiety, guilt around self care, and a struggle to ask for help. Their default is often self neglect, pushing through pain until something breaks. But just remember, therapy is worth it. This was from a therapist article, so there you go. Therapy's worth it. If you need therapy, definitely take
Yes.
it.
Yeah. I'm not a parent yet, so
I know,
I don't
like,
know
don't know
about
that
that
one.
one, but that's something I'm already like thinking of and being very conscious of. Again, you don't want to repeat the patterns that maybe you felt caused some things, but you also don't want to overcompensate. Like there are usually happy mediums that you have to find
Yes.
in everything.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's one of the hardest things ever. No parent is perfect.
Yeah.
No one's going to do it perfectly. You're all just trying to mess up your children a little bit less every generation, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yes.
Yeah, that's the goal. Like we're all just trying to do the best we can. So, I definitely think there's yeah, like a happy balance that can be found there where you're not like overparenting but not causing too much
You're not repeating patterns. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Totally. I'm trying to think if there's anything in this like Vogue article that's worth, or if we can just go on to the different examples.
I think maybe just
Goes
different
to.
examples. Oh, one thing I was going to say is that when this went viral on TikTok with Katie Morton, who was explaining like eldest daughter syndrome,
Mm.
she did mention that it's like not an official mental health diagnosis, which I do think is important to realize. It's not like you can be
Yeah,
like,
of
oh, I've been
course.
diagnosed with eldest daughter syndrome.
Yeah, not real,
No,
not
it's not
real. Yeah.
really like that. Yeah, it's just like a way to describe an experience of like birth order and everything, just a unique experience that some people that are in a certain position have felt. It's not like a diagnosis that you need to like,
Valid.
you
Very
know.
good point.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To move into some maybe more fun, light conversation here, is we're going to talk about
Mm-hmm.
some of the eldest daughters that are famous in pop culture. Some of these are real people, some of them aren't, some of them are characters. But I think that the eldest daughter syndrome definitely demonstrates itself very well in a lot of these women. The first one
Yes.
being Britney Spears. I think that's a pretty huge one. We've done episodes on Britney. I think the whole world has been talking about Britney Spears in the last couple of years with the Free Britney movement and talking about how this conservatorship that they put Britney Spears under basically made it so she was taking care of this whole family financially. They were treating her like a
Yeah.
cash cow instead of putting her best interest at forefront of what actually was going on here. But yeah, she is the oldest daughter, big sister to Jamie Lynn, and her whole family benefited from her incredible, high achieving, everything that Britney Spears was. They definitely benefited from that. And she definitely felt the pressures of that. I'm sure. There was a lot of other things that was going on to
Yes.
Britney Spears, but to see how her family
Oh,
interacts with
yeah.
her, I think is very telling.
I think too something that's interesting is like the dynamic with her younger sister and like some of the
Yeah.
different things that Jamie Lynn did that were just made it like a little bit noticeable that she was like the younger sister, being able to
Mm-hmm.
have her own TV show because Brittany was her older sister. And then also, like, she was 8 years younger than her. So I think there probably was a lot more of, based on what we know about their household, a little bit more like parenting going.
Yeah.
That like Britney was responsible a little bit more for Jamie Lynn than she probably should have been, could have been.
Yeah.
Because of their age gap and just because that she was the family cash cow already.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about Meg, or do you want me to just keep going through these?
Just keep going. I think that works.
Cool. Next one is Meg March. So this is from Little Women, the eldest of the March sisters. And I don't know if you're not familiar with Little Women. First off, you should watch the most recent adaptation. I think it's beautiful. There's so many incredible adaptations of Little Women. Most recently, it was played by Emma Watson. But Meg is this like hopeless romantic, but is very motherly to her three sisters. They definitely like, she is their kind of caretaker. She's the responsible, kind of level-headed one. In the end, she like chooses to be poor for love. Essentially, she falls in love and settles into this nice, quiet life. But at the end of the day, I think that, like I said, I don't want to say she's like the sensible one, because, and maybe in some ways she's not, but she's the romantic one. She's very soft-spoken, very sweet. But
yeah,
I don't know. What's your take on Meg March?
One moment I think of the most is like the eldest daughter for her is she goes to the ball and then ends up acting inappropriately or whatever. And Lori comes down on her and is,
yeah,
you're better than this, Meg. Like, why did you do that and all this stuff? And then she just end up like sobbing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that feels the most eldest daughter. Like she has this moment where she's
so
like
true.
carefree and like forgets who she is a little bit. And he like comes down hard on her, and it just kind of shows those expectations.
Yeah, I was gonna say the high expectations, and then realizing when you don't meet up to it, there's a like an unwinding that happens there.
Yeah.
Great
And kind of like that
point.
crashing from it. Yeah. So that's the moment that feels the most eldest daughter with Meg.
Totally. Another one is Nani from Lilo and Stitch. I think this one is, of course, a great example. She literally was the parental figure for Lilo in this Disney movie. She ends up adopting her, is taking over, doesn't do a great job, of course, at first, but like the whole message of it is that she's not going to be her mom. She is her sister. And it's a shame she doesn't get to be her sister because of this tragedy, but then together they grow as sisters. They come closer. They're able to move past their differences. But I think it's like one of those perfect examples of the parenting that's not just required by eldest sisters. This is a whole different situation, but still an iconic eldest daughter in media, of course.
Yeah. In an impossible situation.
Yes, of course.
Gosh. Yeah. For sure.
Beyonce is an oldest sister, oldest daughter, which, I mean, we've seen the work ethic that is demonstrated by Beyonce, and I'm sure a lot of that was instilled from a very young age with her family being so involved in her career, especially with her dad at the beginning of it, which we've done a Beyonce episode, so I don't feel the need to go too more into it. We're all very familiar. Another one from Disney is Elsa. I think Elsa is actually a pretty great example of the eldest daughter, where she has so much expectations, so much stress that is put on her, so much fear because of her powers.
Yeah.
She chooses to deal with it by hiding away, hiding her true self, isolating, into kind of like a depression. I think that's a personification of that. And eventually is able to let it go.
Yeah.
Hint, nod, whatever.
So I think there's a lot of like parentification with Elsa too, because they die, but in a very different way, where like she feels more responsible for Anna's well-being by protecting her from herself. And so instead of like being a parental figure, she like isolates even further, but feels so responsible for Anna.
Totally.
So yeah, it's a very good example of an eldest daughter.
Absolutely. Katniss Everdeen, an eldest daughter, who, her being the eldest daughter is a huge plot point because she volunteers as tribute when her little sister is picked in the reaping and ends up, we know the plot of Hunger Games, but she definitely feels this immense pressure, but also just like this maternal protection for her little sister, and is willing to do literally anything, risk her life to protect her. So
no, imagine feeling responsible for like the survival of your siblings. Like that's a whole other level of pressure.
A couple more real life examples. Selena Gomez is eldest daughter. I don't know if you saw like the article that came out about the mental health company that her mom started, and the kind of like calling out the fact that maybe that company isn't doing very well, and maybe also that Selena
Oh.
Gomez's and her mom's relationship isn't the best. I didn't read it fully. I only saw like summaries of people talking about it on TikTok and on podcasts and stuff. But it just points to the fact that it seems like Selena Gomez has had the burden of taking care of the family financially for a very long time. You know, like I said, it's the parentification
Yeah.
of the daughters here of it. Okay, let's get you into show business so that you can take care of us. Creates an
Mm-hmm.
interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
I'll skip Taylor Swift because that's a given.
We
Going
already
back to
know.
movies, though, we have got Kat from 10 Things I Hate About You. According to this article, she is the original brat, which, okay, great. When her younger sister Bianca is like, I think the differences between them, right? Kat definitely has
Yeah.
that like resentment, anger at the world, very defiant. Bianca is a lot more typical, likable, all of that. It tells the story of daughters losing their mother too young, too young, and then the
Mm-hmm.
father relies on the eldest daughter to fill that role and be there, which in the end they settle their differences, and like she loves her sister, they love each other. And
Yeah.
I think that movie is a great example of this eldest daughter syndrome with the rage that
Oh,
she has against the
definitely.
world.
Yes, like the rage, especially, and then you find out the reason behind it is like she ended up getting hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like her way of coping with it and trying to protect her younger sister by
From
causing.
suffering that same hurt. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, I love that movie. Should watch that
Me
again.
too. Another
It's
great
so good.
one is Jane Bennett. I think
Mm-hmm.
Pride and Prejudice is, of course, very known for Elizabeth Bennet, but we have to give a shout out to Jane here because this character is like a very wholesome, beautiful, very like maternal woman. Like all of these sisters love her. She's described as just being so warm and everybody loves her. I think that's not me being like, I think that's what people say about eldest daughters, that everybody loves them. I
No, but I
obviously it's
mean,
like
yeah.
this society pressure. That's what this movie touches on, is the fact that okay, she has the pressure to go be married first, go be out in society
Mm-hmm.
and find a good husband so that it can lay a good foundation for the future husbands that could be available to the rest of your
Yes.
daughters, and I
Just
mean
to
to the
make
rest of your
like
sisters.
match possible. And I think it's one of the reasons she gets so devastated. Not only does she love Bingley, but then when it all falls apart, it's like she messed up the most perfect
Yes.
match that her family could have ever had for her.
Yeah,
And so it's like a lot of
totally.
that responsibility just like crashing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another one I wanted to talk about is Isabel Madrigal from the new Disney movie Encanto, or relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
I think that movie does such a great job at dissecting different family roles and like how family trauma can play a role in your life. And Isabel is the oldest daughter and granddaughter, and she talks about how she feels this pressure to be perfectly pretty and go along with everyone and do what is expected of her. And then when she finally is able to break free of that, like her power becomes even more. I love that movie so much. I remember just being
Yeah.
so resonating with that movie a lot and that character.
Mm-hmm. No,
Jane
I
from
agree.
27 Dresses. Oh, have you seen 27 Dresses?
I have. It's been a long time though, I'll be
You
honest.
should rewatch it. It is still such a good
Yeah.
movie. And also, I'm going to say, to this day, I don't think Jane really did anything wrong with what she did to her little sister, because I think her little sister is a villain and I think she deserved what was coming to her. She tore up her mom's wedding dress. And I think if you do that
Yeah.
and act that way when someone's appalled, I think you a little bit deserve to be humiliated. And I remember in the movie when like it happened and Jane did the horrible thing to her sister and everyone was like, "Oh, you took it too far. I can't believe you did that." And I just feel like the little sister, I think that the punishment was worthy of the crime.
Mm.
Personally, I think so, and I am the eldest daughter, so maybe I am a little biased, but I think that she got what was coming to her. But I'm glad they were able to repair their relationship in the end.
Definitely.
Another great example is Angelica Schuyler from Hamilton.
Yep.
What a
What are
great
the
one.
lyrics again? There's nothing my sisters, there's
Mm,
nothing I wouldn't do for her, basically.
yeah. And she talks about like
Yep.
even loving Hamilton, but being like, nope, that's a better. My sister loves him, so she sacrifices a lot for her sisters. And Yeah. Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy.
Poor Peggy.
Poor Peggy. Great. The last eldest daughter I wanted to touch on is someone that we have talked about in the past and is someone that has come to mean a lot to me, but is Rosemary Kennedy, who is the eldest of the Kennedys. And you talked about it a long time ago when we did an episode on her, of talking about how she was a little bit different, didn't quite meet up to the expectations that they had for their children, and they ended up going to insane lengths and performing a dangerous lobotomy on her that totally left her with unable to take care of herself for her rest of her life.
Yeah.
So I think it's an unfortunate example of what happens if, to some people, if you don't meet what is deemed as appropriate or what is expected of you. And it's a very tragic story, but it is worthy to note that she was the eldest daughter in her family. And
the expectations were probably a little bit higher and a little bit harsher on her than they should have been.
Absolutely. So yeah, there are just a couple eldest daughters from pop culture. And of course, like we mentioned, Taylor Swift is included in that list. I'm trying to think if there's any other major eldest daughters that I totally forgot about.
I was even thinking back on like people we've covered, and I was like, oh my gosh, like a lot of these were eldest daughters.
Oh,
even like
yeah.
Miley Cyrus was an eldest daughter. All of that. And then Hannah Montana. Like I think if you look at a lot of women that are in the spotlight, they are eldest daughters.
True.
Yep.
I'm thinking
a very common thing.
It's almost like they take that pressure on. Also, like Kate from Bridgerton. They talked about that a little bit in that movie.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. Kate, and then also on the other side of that, Daphne.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just because of the pressure Kate feels to marry her sister off and make sure that she's taken care of and has like a good match and everything. Daphne, how she feels personally responsible of making sure that she marries well and is the diamond of the season, fulfills all of the hopes and desires and wishes of her family and everything. Like, oh my gosh, back in Regency times, they had so much pressure on those eldest daughters. It was like, you will set up your family for fortune or failure based on who you marry.
Literally. Also, have you seen the TV show Fleabag?
No, I haven't.
Stauney, you would like it. You should watch it. I watched it like last year because I was sick and I finally kept hearing about it. You should watch that. I feel like that's a very interesting sister dynamic.
Yeah, I need to see it. Yep.
We'll dedicate an episode to it when you finished it. I already know. Okay. So just let me know when you watch it and we can talk.
I'll move it up the list. I'll make sure I watch it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there are some eldest daughters. I'm sure there are so many more that we are forgetting. So if you can think of one, please let us know, because I think all of these characters, not the stereotype, but like that it's turned into, I think the patterns are consistent, they are even in fictional characters. So it's interesting when that works out.
It is very interesting. And I definitely think that's why it's blown up on TikTok so much, and like why we're getting a track 5 about it. Because it's become such a recognizable thing that this is a universal experience for a lot of eldest daughters. And what a crazy little phenomenon that is.
What a crazy phenomenon. I know. I think it's funny to see people talking about it on TikTok, and also like when they assign such kind of like funny traits to being an eldest daughter. I'm trying to even think of an example, but I don't know, even just being like, oh, I'm an eldest daughter because I love Diet Coke and reading. And I'm like, yep, so me. Just trivial stuff that applies to everyone, but I like to feel seen, and I'll do it even in that way.
No, definitely. I agree. It's in a lot of ways, I'm like, oh, is it just another way that we're categorizing ourselves?
True. But also, I think a crucial piece in understanding yourself is to look at how different things have affected you and maybe where it came from. And then also, like we talked about at the beginning, what are extra pieces of pressure that we put onto ourselves? But then also, where does it come from? How can we unlearn that so that we can move forward and be better and take care of ourselves better and all of that?
I love this. There's a quote by Sarah Sloat called "The Plight of the Eldest Daughter." And it says, women are expected to be nurturers. Firstborns are expected to be exemplars. Being both is
interesting. That is very interesting.
Yep.
And
Man.
I don't disagree.
I know. Anyway,
I think that's all we maybe need to touch on for now. Thanks everyone for letting us treat that as a mini therapy session for a second there.
Yeah, that was great.
I felt needed, actually.
Yeah.
I feel closer, actually, to everyone listening now. But of course, thanks for being here. We're More Than a Muse. This month we're showgirl themed, but every month and every week we always talk about something involving women artists and feminism and that intersection of that. So if you enjoy listening, stick around for next Monday. Next Monday we're going to be talking about Natalie Wood, which is our theory of what the song Wood is a reference to on the new Taylor Swift album.
Maybe what it possibly could be. We could be completely wrong, but even if we are, Natalie Wood's story is and definitely deserves
still worthy to talk about no matter what.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even if it ends up being about Pinocchio or something completely different,
or maybe it's an innuendo.
Yeah,
who knows?
We don't know.
I'm excited. That song title is crazy. I'm excited to find out what that means. But anyways, we'll be back next Monday. Come say hi on YouTube, where our episodes now are, and Instagram and all the things. Subscribe. Tell us you like us.
Yes.
And
we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Perfect.